chat about all 10 books I read in March. I read 6 romance books, with one being a short story. I read 1 nonfiction, 2 fantasy/romantasy books, and then a literary fiction book. I had a wide range of reading this month. I feel like I had such a wonderful reading month. I loved every single book I read in March, and I'm excited to share them all with you. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Emily. If you're new here, feel free to stick around, subscribe, and let's get into this monthly wrap-up. I'm gonna start, I think, with romance, since that is the largest section I have. And also, I normally do my wrap-ups in genres, not in the order that I read them, but let me know what you guys like more. Should I go in the order that I read the books, or do you like me grouping my reads into genres in these videos? I'd love to know what you think. The first romance book I read this month was First Time Caller, and I had so much fun reading this book. I really enjoyed it. This was my second BK Borson book. My first one was Love Light Farms, and I really enjoyed that. There was things that didn't really flow for me, but wow, did I really love the experience in this, and I feel like she improved so much in her storytelling from Love Light Farms to this book. There were 3 other books, I believe, in the Love Light Farms series that I have yet to read, so I definitely will be picking those up. But this is about a radio host, and he's a grumpy, closed off man. He doesn't believe in love, he doesn't want love, he doesn't think love exists for him or for anyone. That's ironic because the radio show he hosts is for dating advice, so it doesn't really match up. He ends up getting a call one day from a young person, and that young person turns out to be the female main character's daughter, who is looking for love for her mom. So the female main character, the mom, ends up going on the radio show and they try to find her love. I was just obsessed with this whole story. I feel like the tension between the characters was so palpable. There were sparks flying out of the pages. That's literally what it felt like reading. Sarah Adams has a quote on the back and it says, "Absolute magic lives inside these pages." Yes, it does. I would 100% agree with that. This book was such a wonderful romance, and I believe it went kind of viral on TikTok. I could not find this a little bit after it came out. Everywhere was sold out of it. I just want to read this book, and I'm very happy I did. I gave it 4 stars. I would absolutely recommend this for a romance book. I'm kind of thinking maybe it's like a 4.5 now. The next romance I read was Wild Side, which these are both kind of new releases, I believe. First Time Caller came out in February. This came out at the beginning of March, and Elsie Silver is still my queen. I love her so much. I love her writing. Her books are so easy to read and digest. If you're looking for a romance that's gonna be breezy but have some emotional depth, they are going to be spicy. These characters have an instant attraction off the bat, but as you get to know them, a more emotional connection takes root because they are kind of in a forced proximity situation, so they have to see each other. They see how the other person acts. That sparks feelings based on their actions. So our main characters are put in this situation of guardianship over the female main character's niece, and so they have to be around each other, and that leads to more. But I really love this. This was another one that I felt the tension, the banter was crackling, and I was obsessed with it. I feel like a lot of the romance books I read this month had that, which was really nice because I feel like a lot of the romance books I have been reading didn't exceed that as much. But again, Elsie Silver is my queen. There's a fun little wrestling element in here. There's also found family that you get from being in this series for the 3rd book, and we are also getting one more book this year in this series. I believe that's the last book, and it is a son's ex-girlfriend, which I have literally never read, but we got a sneak peek about that in this book, and I was like, I'm excited for it. If you love Elsie Silver, I don't know if this will be your favorite Elsie Silver, but I would recommend you read it because it's a good time. I gave this one 4 stars. I also thought the kid was so cute, and they did a lot of mundane things in this book, and that was really refreshing. But to be able to see how they did mundane things, and in those mundane things there was still so much attraction and emotional depth being conveyed across to the reader, was chef's kiss. I then read Walrus, which was a short story by Abby Jimenez, and I thought this was so cute. It was super short and sweet, like 80 pages. It was such a nice breath of fresh air and a break from reading a long story. It's not that much commitment. It's on Kindle Unlimited, I believe. There is no physical book for this one. I believe she just posted about how someone like made a physical book and was selling it on Amazon. It's fake. It's AI generated. It's not her, so you can get the ebook or audiobook through Amazon. It was just a really cute story. Basically, they're these 2 neighbors. They don't really know each other, and one Friday afternoon a construction crew comes and takes away their stairs. Obviously it was an accident, but they are both kind of in interesting situations. It's the day of his divorce, and she is super cautious, knows all these self-defense things, has a bunch of weapons, and he's like, what's going on? And you find out why she has all those things. I thought a really super cute, easy breath of fresh air time. Would recommend. I will read anything Abby Jimenez writes. I will literally read her grocery list and give it 5 stars. Although I didn't give this 5 stars, I give it 3 stars. I feel like I don't don't really rate short stories over 3 stars, especially the romance ones that I read. I'm never say never, but I give it 3 stars. I then did a reread, and rereading this book was such a wonderful experience. I'm so happy I reread this last month, and that is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I've read all of Emily Henry's other books multiple times. I had yet to do a reread of Happy Place. I even read Funny Story before I did a reread of Happy Place, but this is like a 6-star read for me. I don't know how she does it. Every single one of her books I'm obsessed with. I love literally so much. I will die on the Emily Henry hill that she might be the best romance author that ever was, or at least in my opinion. I'm obsessed with her. I'm obsessed with her words. I'm obsessed with the way she tells things. I'm obsessed with how she describes settings. I feel like sometimes in romance books settings can be overlooked, but the way she describes a setting in this book is so incredible. We are in Maine at this cottage, and basically our main character has been going there with her friend group since she met them in college, and now it's a decade later and they're back for this lobster festival in Maine. The atmosphere, perfect, but also there are some things going on in her life. Her fiance, who is also a part of this friend group, and her aren't together anymore, and they haven't been for months, and they haven't told a single soul, so all her friends think they're together. This is a dual timeline, so you get to see them fall in love, and as they fall in love, you're like, oh my god, these people are obsessed with each other. They're so connected. They literally yearn and crave each other so much. So why did they break up? And you find that out. You learn about the friend group. I really loved how this book showed how friend dynamics change as you get out of college and life changes, and how not everything stays the same as you grow up. That's just life. Things are gonna change. There is, what is it? The quote where it's like, there's 2 certainties in life, death and taxes, and the third certainty should be that things are going to change, and this book portrays that perfectly. They portray how people struggle with change, how people struggle with when relationships change, when boundaries change, and it also really dives deep into our female main character and what she wants out of her life, what she thought her desires were for herself, problems she had growing up, and how that's reflected in the life she's chosen for herself. Y'all, it's so good. It's so good. This is another one. I will read her grocery list, and I'm actually subscribed to her newsletter, which is called Grocery List, which is very punny, ha ha ha. But again, this is like a 6-star read for me. I loved it so much, even more on the reread. I don't even know how I can rate any Emily Henry book. I love them all so much. It's like, how do you put them up against each other? You don't. You just say they are all the best thing ever. I know people rank them. I'm pretty sure I ranked them at one point, maybe. I don't think I could do it again, and I don't know that I ever did. I think I've tried to, and I'm just like, well, they're all my favorite. Sue me. Sue me. Don't actually, please. I then picked up Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Stone, and I think this was her February release. I have yet to read Ready or Not, which I have, but I'm saving it for a video that I want to film. So I picked this one up, and my ChatGPT picks the books I read because it told me to. Not that I listen or believe everything AI tells me, but for the purpose of that video, it chose Promise Me Sunshine. I read it. I had a really interesting experience while reading it because there is literally no freaking romance in this book, and it's a romance book. But as you read the story, you understand why that is. This is a book that deals a lot with grief and the loss of someone very close to you, and how to move on past that. So our female main character, Lenny, is a nanny, and she becomes the nanny to this little girl. Our male main character, Miles, is the little girl's uncle, and she is really going through it, and he's been through something similar in the past, so he offers to help her if she will help him have a better relationship with his niece, because that's all he wants, and they don't have the best relationship. He doesn't with the mom or the kid. So he propositions that, and you just go from there. And I really love the way Miles showed up for Lenny in this book. Like, hands down, drop everything I'm doing to be there for her when she needs me. Again, you don't feel like there's a romance at all. You're in Lenny's perspective, and that makes so much sense as you continue to read the book. It's like she is not in a place to be able to understand that this is a romance, but as a reader, it was really frustrating at first because I'm like, I'm reading a freaking romance and there's like barely any romance. What's going on? But that is the whole point, and it was done so well. I gave it originally when I finished 3.5 stars because there's no romance, blah, blah, blah. But as I slept on it and grown it more, I actually really enjoyed how it was done and the characters, and I also enjoyed getting to see the male main character Miles and his family and that dynamic. So I'm giving it 4 stars after I've sat on it for a while, and I would absolutely recommend this book. I really also did enjoy her writing a lot. This was my first book by her, and I will definitely be reading more. Again, I already have Ready or Not. I just need to pick it up, so I'm excited to see what else she comes out with. Also, her covers are the cutest freaking thing ever. People say don't judge a book by its cover, but I am a sucker for a cute cover. We're gonna wrap up romance with Out on a Limb by Hannah Bowen Young. I thought this was super cute. It wasn't my favorite romance book ever, but it was a really good time. I didn't feel super emotionally connected to the characters, but I liked her writing, I liked the characters, and it was overall just a good time. And I would absolutely recommend it if you're looking for a new romance author, if you're looking for a story that's gonna have emotional depth and things that the characters have to deal with, but is still a very sweet love story. Our female main character and male main character meet at a party, hook up, and they don't talk, and then surprise, a few weeks later, she's pregnant, and it's his. I really enjoyed how this book took us through the pregnancy and how that changed the female main character and male main character and their relationship, but also them independently, and they both have physical disabilities, so you get to see how pregnancy affects how they think of themselves with their disability, how they think of like what their capabilities might be if they're gonna hinder anything or things like that. I really enjoyed learning about that too, even without the pregnancy, just their perspectives on themselves because of the disability that they have. Good time, really enjoyed it. I am going to read other works that this author puts out. What should we do next? I think we're gonna take a break with fiction and interject with my nonfiction read, and that was I Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I feel like Mel Robbins hopped off these last few months and has just been going viral, and I picked up this book. I really enjoyed it. I'm very happy I read it. One of my goals in 2025 is to read at least one nonfiction book every month, and I failed in January, which off to a great start. I read one in February, 101 essays, and thought it had some good lessons, and this one was my March read, and I'm very happy it was. I feel like it was super easy to read. The font is really big, which I think is funny that I'm pointing that out, but for a nonfiction book, sometimes the font can be small and it can be hard to just get through the chapters because it can feel so dense, but this was really easy. I love how Mel Robbins breaks down things in such an easy and digestible way. It's almost like she's talking to someone who's at rock bottom who has never heard these concepts before, whereas I feel like some people in self-help, health and wellness spaces can dive right into it and forget all the basics, but Mel Robbins does the basics so well. This book dealt a lot with letting go of things out of your control, focusing on what you can control. It's like let them and then let me, and I really love that theory. I thought it was funny. I saw an Instagram reel and it was people doing absurdly insane things and being like, let them. Oh, this person's trying to steal your car. Let them. Oh, the IRS is coming to take your house. Let them. But obviously that's satire. And this has a lot of really practical applications, I think, that can help people get through the stress of daily life and focus on things that actually matter to them. So I would recommend this. It was a good read. I read it physically. I feel like the audiobook would be good. Apparently it's an Audible original and I enjoyed it. And I've been listening to her podcast too and would also recommend that. I love seeing a queen thrive. Like, I love women doing badass things. Okay, we're gonna end with fantasy and talk about my favorite book last, so we have something to look forward to, because oh my gosh, that book was so good. So we're gonna get to that in a second, but first we're gonna talk about my literary fiction book, which was Tomorrow. This book has been on my shelf for so long. ChatGPT picked this book for me and I'm very happy I read it. We are following two friends who have been friends for a very long time. They have kind of a complicated friendship, but they really care about each other and are there for each other and just really want the best for the other person. And they end up rekindling their friendship in college, and they create a video game that goes viral, changes the trajectory of their life, and you follow them in that journey. It's really character driven. It really focuses a lot on games and play in life and how games and play can impact our life and the roles they have in life. I really enjoyed that theme. It was super interesting to read about. This was my first book by Gabrielle Zevin and I'm very happy I picked it up this month. I really enjoyed her writing. The way she story told was very good. Sometimes with literary fictions, I feel like coming from fantasy and romance, they can seem pretty slow. This didn't really feel slow at all. It was broken down into multiple parts. The characters were enjoyable to follow. At first, I'm kind of like, why are they doing the things that they're doing? But as you read more, you get to know more about them, their motivations become a little clearer. Yeah, overall, I just really enjoyed this. I enjoyed how they change throughout their lives. This takes place over a long period of time. One of our main characters has a physical disability, and you learn about that and how that impacts him and how he sees himself and his relationship with others and his work. I would absolutely recommend this book. I gave it 4 stars. Oh, I don't think I said I don't really rate nonfiction, so I don't think I'm gonna give this a rating, but I would recommend this. All right, let's get into our fantasy and romantasy section. First up, we have Rebel Witch, which is the sequel to Heartless Hunter and the completion of the duology. If you haven't read Heartless Hunter yet, read it. I loved it so much. And then, now that this is out, you can immediately pick this up because the ending of that book will make you want to immediately read this book. I didn't like this book as much as the first one, but I did have a really good time. I thought it was a really beautiful conclusion, and I really enjoyed reading the acknowledgement section in this because there was a cute little message that the author put out and it related back to the story. I also just love reading acknowledgements and dedications. I think they're so cute and a fun part of the reading process. Obviously with this being a duology, I can't say too much, but the first book, Heartless Hunter, you are following Rune, who is a witch in a kingdom or a republic who bans witches. The penalty for being a witch is death. And Gideon, our male main character, is a witch hunter. They are kind of playing this game off of each other to get information. She puts on this persona as a dumb socialite who cares about money, status, dressing up, and going to balls. And he is, again, a witch hunter for the republic. He has been scorned by witches in the past pretty terribly, and you learn about that in the book. So he has a very strong motivation to end witches and get them out of this republic. They don't want them there. I feel like the betrayal, the love, the loss, it was so freaking good. It was so fast paced. There's never a down moment. You finish a chapter, you immediately want to read the next one. And then I love that it's a duology too, because it's not like an 8-book fantasy series that you need to commit to, which is nice. So I gave this one, I think 4.25. I don't think it's 4.5, but I feel like it was more than 4. But now I'm like, I think it's just a 4. But absolutely would recommend this book if you've read the first one. And if you haven't read the first one, read it if you're in the mood for a romantic fantasy. I feel like it's a good fantasy to pick up too. Like if you are just getting into fantasy, because it has a pretty heavy romance, the plot's interesting and fast-paced, and then it's not too complicated of a world building. It's set in kind of a Victorian era, and then I really enjoyed dealing with witches. I feel like a lot of fantasies are about fae or fairies or things like that these days, so it's nice to get a little witchy story, which I loved. The last book we have to talk about is, I think, gonna be my favorite read of March. It would be Happy Place, but that's a reread. This last book is Metal Singer. I had not read a book this good. It had been a while. A fantasy that had my jaw on the floor for the last 3 chapters. I was like, the entire time. I loved it so much. Metal Singer was such a good read. It's on Kindle Unlimited, which is very nice, and I believe it's being traditionally published now. So congratulations to that author. I know it kind of went viral. I know other book creators who have talked about it, so that's why I read it, and I had so much fun. I feel like we got so many different settings in this book. You're following Bryn, our main character, who is kind of an outcast from the society and is a part of this group. I believe it's the Alaha and some other people, and they're shunned off to sea, so they live in the ocean on these big tree houses, which was a really cool setting. I feel like I hadn't seen something like that in a fantasy that I have read since I've started reading again, so that was really cool. I feel like the journey was really cool. It was really fast-paced. I do wish we would have spent more time in some of the locations and got to know different settings a little more, but it was like go, go, go. Even more so than Rebel Rich for me, that I just wanted to keep reading and keep reading and keep reading. I think I read it in only like a couple days, and it's 500 pages on Kindle. So a decently sized book, but I really enjoyed our main character. I really enjoyed all the twists and turns that happened. Some were predictable. I will say too, a lot of this is predictable, but it was still fun to be in the journey. That's how I felt with Metal Singer too, is it was just fun to be in the journey, but there were some very big things that I was like, maybe, but the way they were done, jaw on the floor, it was insane, especially the ending. I'm so excited for book 2, although I'm not sure when it's gonna come out because the first book is now being traditionally published, so I don't know. I absolutely adored it. The romance in this book too, so freaking good. This is what I want in a romantasy book, is Metal Singer. Absolutely read it if you like romance, if you like fantasy. This is a can't miss book. Cannot miss reading this book. It's so good. I still think about it in that ending, which is insane. I wish we would have shown more in certain places and just like moving place to place to place. There wasn't really a second to take a breath or learn more about certain things. You obviously learn a lot and it was pretty easy to understand, but I wish we would have had more time in certain settings and certain scenes. So yes. I don't know if, since it's being traditionally published, maybe I'll give it a reread, because that obviously might change. They might change things when it's being traditionally published, right? I don't know. I really find the publishing process interesting, but it's kind of mostly a mystery to me. Those are all the books I have to talk about that I read in March. I'm so happy I read these books. I had such a wonderful time. If you have read any of these books, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Also, what was your favorite book you read in March? Let me know. Again, mine was definitely Metal Singer. Would have been Happy Place, like I said. but that was a reread, so I wanted to pick a new book that I had never read for my favorite read of March. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or if you enjoy watching my channel, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe and stick around. I have some exciting things coming out, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!